Nutrition. This is Yaffi, a registered dietitian nutritionist and owner of Baby Bloom Nutrition. And today we are talking about are carbohydrates the problem? You may be saying, you've covered carbohydrates, because I have done a couple segments on carbohydrates, but it just seems to consistently be a question. Are carbohydrates bad for you? Why are carbohydrates such an issue? So I'm going to tackle it from a different angle. Are carbohydrates the problem? So here's the thing. Too much of anything is bad for you. Your nutrition intake should have variety. If you had, so the healthiest food that I can come up with off the top of my head is broccoli. This is always my default. If you were trapped on a desert island and you had one food, it would be broccoli. But if you were trapped on a desert island, this is not an ideal circumstance. A diet that's completely broccoli is a deficient diet. It doesn't have absolutely everything we need. For instance, it doesn't have fat. So it's just illustrating that no matter what food you pick, it shouldn't take over your diet. And what happens with carbohydrates is that they're really easy to make, they're easy to grab, they travel well, they're tolerated well by kids and adults alike, and it's really an easy default, which is why the first segment I did covering carbohydrates was on the grain hole, where you can have all quote unquote healthy foods throughout the day, and you look at your daily intake for that day, and it's all carbohydrate based. You had oatmeal for breakfast. Well, who doesn't like oatmeal? Oatmeal has some fantastic benefits to it. But you also had a sandwich for lunch, and then maybe you had pasta for dinner. And before you know it, although each individual meal was pretty healthy in and of itself, over the course of the day, everything was carbohydrate based. That is the issue. It's not the carbohydrates themselves, it's the lack of variety and the lack of balance. I'm a non-diet dietitian, which means that I teach from a perspective that all foods fit, that we don't have to be afraid of food or feel shame or guilt at something that we ate. Yesterday, I ate a huge bowl of pasta because I was emotionally eating. There are so many ways to unpack this. There are different levels, but the truth is that as a non-diet dietitian, I can do that and not feel guilty about it. Fine, you know what? I felt tired the rest of the day. It wasn't a good choice for me. And by the way, there was a ton of spinach in it also. But I knew going in, this was not the right choice in order to make sure that I had energy for the rest of the day. But I'm not going to feel guilty about it either. I'm just going to try to remember next time I want a gigantic bowl of pasta to maybe have a little bit less pasta and balance it out, because that's how my body responds to it. Getting back to the idea, so carbohydrates themselves are not the issue. It's the lack of balance, like I displayed yesterday with my big bowl of pasta. Nobody's perfect. Okay, so here's the thing. Complex carbohydrates are a great source of fiber, zinc, vitamin E, magnesium, and fluid. If you break down the word carbohydrate, the beginning is carbo, there's my hand, hydrate. So what is hydrate? You know what hydrate is. Hydrate is water. Hydrate is fluid. We need hydration. We are 70% water, and we need adequate hydration in order to thrive and to grow and to develop normally as children and then as adults, in order to have good feelings throughout the day. Dehydration can present as anxiety and depression. You know what? On that note, gotta have my props. So when you cut out carbohydrates, a lot of times you're also cutting out an important source of hydration. And I'm going to get to why there's such rapid weight loss when you cut out carbohydrates in just a bit. Stay tuned. Simple carbohydrates are good. Also, guess what? Fruit is simple carbohydrates. So what's the difference between simple and complex carbohydrates? It's the length of the molecule. So fruit, an orange, who's going to argue with an orange? Okay, an orange is a fantastic source of vitamin C, which is an antioxidant. Antioxidants help to prevent disease by reducing oxidation in your body. Oxidation is a problem. It results in wrinkles and gray hair. It also results in cancer and inflammatory disease and a lot of different disease states. So it's important to have enough antioxidants, and a lot of antioxidants are found in fruit, which is a simple carbohydrate. Okay, fine. So most people think simple carbohydrate, they think candy. Candy also has a place in the diet, okay? diet. When I say diet, I'm using it in the neutral term, meaning neutral term for food that you take in during the day. That's when I say diet. I don't mean restrictive eating pattern to result in weight loss. So just to clarify that. So getting back to the candy idea and processed carbs, all foods can fit in your nutrition plan. You don't want any one food or any one food group to completely take over your nutrition, which includes protein, which includes fat. So just let that sink in. Those are your 3 micronutrients. You have protein, fat, and carbohydrate, and you need all of them in order to function, in order for your body to work the way it's supposed to. Processed carbs can be for special occasions. This is not a bad thing. Think about wedding cake. I'm going to be writing a blog on why wedding cake is the healthiest food in the world. So stay tuned for that. But the sneak peek to that is, think of everything going on at a wedding. Think of the happiness and the positivity, the forward thinking positivity, the time you're spending with family and friends. And that is all symbolized by this piece of wedding cake. There's nothing bad about that. Okay? We can't prioritize physical health over mental health and emotional health. A lot of times when we look at nutrition, we look at it in such an isolated way. We isolate certain nutrients, but following a nutrition plan that isolates these nutrients in this way is very restrictive, and it messes with our heads. It tells us you can't enjoy this party with your friends because you're not allowed to have fill in the blank. So what you need to do is come to a place, and there are people who can help, come to a place where you can see that all foods fit and that all foods are neutral. And sometimes you're going to have a piece of cake, and it's okay. And you don't have to feel guilty about that. Like my bowl of pasta yesterday. Fine, it wasn't the greatest choice. I knew that going in. I knew that coming out the other side. I mean, the rest of the afternoon. But it's what met my needs at that time, and I can make a better choice next time. So yeah, these restrictions lead to food fear, lead to food anxiety, lead to shame and guilt. And actually that stress, along with the constant weight gain and weight loss, which is known as either yo-yo dieting or weight cycling, actually increases stress in the body. And you do see that on the on blood work. You see elevated CRP. You see other indications of inflammation. And inflammation, yes, can be caused by certain food items, but also can be caused by our attitude towards food and the way that we feel around food and the way that we obsess over food and what our body looks like. So why is it that when people cut carbohydrates from their diet, they lose weight rapidly? Isn't that a good thing? Well, I mean, if you know me, you know I'm going to say no. So they lose weight rapidly because of lower calorie intake, for one. And this is not necessarily a good thing. We do need enough calories in order to fuel our bodies. There is a baseline amount of calories that you need in order to function. And when I'm saying that, I mean function sitting on the couch, binge watching some show on Amazon. And that level is not even being met by the current fad diets and by any fad diets that have been popular at any point in time. These eating plans undercut those calories that you would need even just to sit on the couch and watch TV. So you really need to take in enough nutrition in order to fuel you throughout the day. And the ideal way to take in that nutrition is by having a variety of colors and textures and tastes. And that's going to meet your needs in a lot of different ways. Not only your calorie needs, but it's going to meet your emotional needs as well. Uh-oh, I have a crying baby. All right, well, I'm almost wrapping this up anyway. Okay, so another, and that weight cycling also puts your internal organs at risk. It stresses your liver, it stresses your kidneys, it can stress your pancreas as well. So thinner is not necessarily better. If you're getting to a thin place by damaging your internal organs on a very restricted diet, such as these low-carb diets that are out there, you're not going to end up in a healthy place. We can't take an unhealthy path to get to health. It just doesn't compute. Another way that these diets result in fast weight loss is that I mentioned that carbohydrate contains a large amount of hydrate. So there's a lot of water loss, a lot of water weight loss. A gallon of water weighs a lot. I'm pretty sure offhand it weighs 7 pounds. And we need that fluid in our body. We need it to function adequately. So a lot of rapid weight loss at the beginning of any of these restricted plans is from water weight loss. And this is not a good thing. It may seem like a good thing because the scale is moving in the way you want it to, but it doesn't actually indicate a trajectory toward health. So why don't we focus, instead of focusing on what we shouldn't eat, why don't we focus on what we can increase? You can add vegetables to meals. I'm planning a great nap time nutrition with Michelle Redmond of the Taste Workshop, once she gives me the thumbs up, on the most delicious ways to prepare vegetables, because she's a dietitian and chef and a food enjoyment activist, which I just love that she calls herself that. We can increase color. If you look at any of your plates, you can increase color by having a crunch bowl, for example. That is the easiest way to have delicious vegetables on the table. It's just a bowl of carrots and cucumbers and jicama and pepper slices, whatever does it for you. Just get some color in there, get some crunch, and put a dip on the side. Hummus, guacamole, there's so much you can do. A delicious salad dressing. So increase color, increase texture. Meal plan for visual balance. You can see in the corner right here, I have my meal planner hanging on the wall. And I run a program called Save My Sanity, and that it's to teach you basic boot camp nutrition and to guide you through meal planning. So if you're interested in that, drop me a line. But when you meal plan, you can look at what you're planning and see if there's balance and see if there's a day when everything is being taken over by one particular food group. And then you can just shift things around. You should have food that's tasty. I heard someone recently say that the expectation that all meals are tasty is immature. Well, fine, then color me a toddler, because I think everything should taste good. I think every time you put something in your mouth, it should be enjoyable. So meal planning is really key to making sure that you have tasty, delicious options, but that you also have balance and variety. Have a variety of snacks on hand for easy grabbing. A lot of times we default to carbohydrates, as I talked about in my segment called The Grain Hole. We default to carbohydrates because they're easy. They're easy whether you're making them at home or whether you're buying them in packaged form. So let's talk about some things that are easy to grab that aren't in a package or are in a package but aren't carbohydrate based. And not that we're saying that carbohydrates are bad, but we're saying that there needs to be variety. Okay, so first, pretzels, muffins, granola bars, these are the easy things, and there's nothing wrong with them. You just don't want all of the snacks and meals to be carbohydrate based. So cut veggies with dip. I mentioned hummus, peanut butter, guacamole. These are really great options for health. Fruit, it's grab and go. Cheese sticks, hard-boiled eggs, yogurt, nuts, roasted garbanzo beans, kale chips. These are some options of foods that are easy to grab, easy to keep on hand, and they're going to lend a little bit more variety and different textures and colors and tastes to your nutrition plan. So there you go. I've been having a lot of fun lately at Toddler Test Kitchen. If you're local, come join me. I'm going to be here next week on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Arizona time, which is 12 noon in California. Well, okay, West Coast 12 noon, East Coast 3 p.m. And I'll be live. I'm always open to taking suggestions on topics. Come to Toddler Test Kitchen if you're a Phoenix local, and ask me about it if you're not a Phoenix local. And find me on Pinterest, pinterest.com/Yaffi. I have a lot of recipes, and also check out my book section on positive book messages, positive food messages in books for your kids. Literary nutrition exposure is fantastic. It's fun for everyone. And come see me next week. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it.